Right there?
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of The Unusual Suspects. The PBD podcast was canceled today. Patrick is under the weather, but we had so many stories, and with Elon and Trump and all the stuff that's happening, we felt like we had to come out here to give you guys some of the stories. I have Adam Sosnick is in the house. Rob Gargiulo is here, and for the first time on Unusuals, Tom the Bizdog Ellsworth is here. It took somebody getting sick for you to come here, Tom.
Really? So it took someone being under the weather for you to invite me?
No. It was
so, okay.
Tom, the Lord works a mystery.
No. You dodge that. I got a file, buddy.
I love you, Tom.
I know how this works.
Yeah, but
we got a lot of fine vases and vases. What do you have at the house?
There's good people on both sides.
Yeah, we can't do it at my house. I got expensive sculptures, and I
There it
can't
is,
have
the
you guys
sculptures.
in there.
But yeah, guys,
Man.
and I mean, Tom, you've known Pat the longest. I've been here for 2.5 years. I've seen Pat sick. It takes a lot for this guy not to be here, but our thoughts are with him, Pat. He'll get better soon. But all right, guys, I think we get right into it. Last night, Elon had Donald Trump on the Spaces live event. It actually, dude, everybody in the world was going nuts. I think they broke the internet because there was a 45. How long, Rob? Was it 40 minutes delayed?
Yeah, they were about 45 minutes delayed, and then he went on for a full 2 hours with Elon.
Unbelievable. And it was called the DDoS attack. And so for some of you guys that don't know, because there's still a lot, my sister was like, what happened? Did somebody hack? And I had to explain to her that it's a cyber crime that involves flooding a server with internet traffic to prevent users from accessing online services and sites. So Tom, you broke it down a little bit more eloquently.
Yeah, if you've ever gone to ESPN where you're in the middle of the Super Bowl and you're trying to get fantasy football stats and it's really slow to get back to you, that's because so many people are on ESPN at the same time, but they kind of plan for that. In this case, hackers and bad actors use zombie computers, and you hear people saying you need to have antivirus software on your computer, and they point all of those to send messages and requests to a single point at the same time to flood it. So it's a distributed group of computers that causes you and me to be denied service because we're trying to get there and we can't get anything because the server is just getting slammed with traffic. It is like ESPN being slow on the Super Bowl on steroids, but done by bad people.
And the tweet came from Elon 8:18 p.m. because originally it was scheduled to start at 8. 8:18 p.m. Elon tweets, there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X, working on shutting it down. Worst case scenario, we will proceed with a smaller number of live listeners and post the conversation later. He then replies to that tweet at 8:24 p.m. and says, we tested the system with 8 million concurrent listeners earlier today. So earlier that day, that system worked with 8 million concurrent, but when they only had 150 to 200,000 people waiting live, all of a sudden the stream started shutting down and kicking people out.
And not being that guy, I said this to Rob on Unusuals. I go, once this thing happens, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't let it happen because the left-wing media was going bananas. They were making comments. Rob, I know you had something where they were like,
they're like laughing, chucking it up. The Elon Musk, X, laid off all those engineers, and now he's got technical problems.
That's every message I got, Adam. The majority from my people in California were like, that's what he gets for firing everybody.
No, I wouldn't even go there with this. I mean, we saw what happened 9 months ago with Ron DeSantis.
Yep.
There's precedent for this. Mm-hmm. This is the challenge that's going to be happening with especially X, and we can get into all who do you think it was? If this were on ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, Fox, there'd be no issues. The good and the bad of what's happening on X is you're democratizing these conversations. Like, it's not being sort of levied by mainstream media. There's no roadblocks, but there's going to be challenges just literally getting to talk. The thing that was DeSantis, it was choppy. You couldn't hear anything. Yeah. And I don't know how much time you guys spent with this. I waited for like 20, 30 minutes, didn't hear anything. And you know what I did? Went and lived my life.
Yeah, of course.
And had dinner and did I didn't just sit around all day.
Yeah.
So I didn't hear anything. Because I waited around for, how long was there silence for?
About 40 minutes.
40 minutes.
They finally went live. I can actually tell you the exact time because I texted everybody in our group chat and said, hey, they are live now. It was scheduled to start at 8 p.m. They're both muted. 8:40 was when they went live. So 40-minute delay. And I'll tell you, Vinnie, to your point of why people wouldn't want this conversation to be had or be heard, here might be part of the reason why. And this is according to X. Between 7:47 p.m. and 10:47 p.m. Eastern Time, Donald Trump Trump's space post received 73 million views. During the same period, there were 4 million posts about Elon Musk and President Trump's conversation, generating a total of 998 million views. So a billion people saw the comments or heard the conversation last night.
I might have a totally different opinion of you guys. If you're solving for as many people as possible, wanting to hear what this conversation was, right?
Yes.
Like that's the goal.
Yes.
Why not set a time, set a date, meet at the same place, video it like a real conversation, and then put out clips? So it's almost like this conversation in many people's minds never even happened. Like when we do a live podcast, we take the short clips and we put them out. Why? Because some clips are going to pop, some clips are going to have reach. Nobody's going to listen to all 2 hours. In my opinion, this was a failed effort where they should have done it AV, not just audio, get some clips out of sitting down with Elon and Trump at the same place, and now you have this BS Twitter space that nobody's going to listen to these clips. I think it was just a horrible, horrible way to do this.
But here's my thing.
But it's a conversation that needs to happen.
Yeah,
that's my point.
So think of it from a business standpoint. Okay, Trump posted yesterday for the first time, and it had I think 37 million. It might be way more views.
Sure.
From a business aspect, Trump's back on X. You're having this Twitter thing, but boy, it literally broke the internet, and you had people. Obviously, bad actors. It's a crime what they did. They tried to stop it from happening. I mean, we could kind of allude to who would be paid to do something like this, but it did a hiccup. But I think in the bigger picture, besides the conversation, it's the company. It's X. I mean, look at the two names that are on there, Adam. And it took an illegal hack to stop this from happening. And I'm pretty sure they're going to
stop it. It didn't
almost.
happen.
I know they delayed it. They delayed it from happening, and I get what you're saying in person, but for this platform, for what they're doing for X, that's their spaces, that's their life.
And I disagree that people aren't going to sit and watch, because I listened to the entire thing, the entire 2 hours, and from its peak, it was 1.3 million people watching live, and then the only listening live dropped down to 1.2 million. So there's only 100,000 people that dropped off. You still had 1 million people watching or listening, and a total of 1 billion views. Do you want to play the clip of Elon discussing the DDoS attack?
Please, yeah.
Humberto, if you could pull up clip number 2. This is Elon, as soon as he gets the stream working and people can log back in and listen, this is Elon addressing the DDoS attack. Clip number 2, Humberto.
All right.
Hello, everyone. My apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers, and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say, and but I'm honored to have this conversation. I want to emphasize it's a conversation, and it's really intended to just get a feel for what Donald Trump is just like in a conversation. It's hard to catch a vibe about someone if you just don't hear them talk in a normal way. And when there's an adversarial interview, like no one's themselves in an adversarial interview. And this is really aimed at kind of open-minded, independent voters who just trying to make up their mind. So you can understand like what is what is it just like to have a conversation? So honored to Donald, great to speak.
Today,
we had
Junior.
a great conversation yesterday. As you mentioned yesterday, if we could just record that conversation and post it would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
And then they went on.
I think we will. I'm pretty
okay.
sure we will.
Well, thank you, Elon. It's great to be here.
I have a perspective here, and Adam, I kind of disagree with you a little bit. First of all, this was live. This was absolutely live, unscripted, spontaneous, and people want to hear because they want something called authenticity and want to hear the position. Kamala Harris is now 22 days, has not sat down and done a live interview with any media. They have all been scripted stand-ups at the rallies. And even the New York Times 2 days ago wrote a very harsh article that said, hey, we want to sit down. We want unscripted. We want, and by the way, their job is to help get her elected. That's their job.
Obviously.
They're trying to do their job. And they're pointing out that what she's doing and dodging it is not helping. You had a total of 1 billion people that saw some part of it or a share or something. 1 billion people? There's only 350 million people in the United States, give or take, waiting for the census and all of the migrants that have come across the borders. And so you look at it, and I think it was brilliant. I thought it was well played. And also, it was also a message the other way. It got fixed in 40 minutes, which means that X has got the technical talent to even take a massive DDoS attack and to thwart it so that the show must go on so that people can hear it. And as Elon said, we want the independent-minded voters to be able to see something and make up their mind.
And what does DDoS stand for? The Democrat denial of service.
That's what he's talking about.
I mean, you could easily replace the D.
Don't get it confused with DDoF, which is distributed denial of freedom. That's the Biden administration.
The Democrats
Democrat denial
secrecy. They don't want this conversation happening.
Yeah. What's interesting,
I get
Tom, is that Kamala has not. It's been 21 days. The vice president, 22 days. Vice President Harris has not done a sit-down interview. It's very odd that in this election cycle, for some reason, the Democratic candidate for the United States for the presidency cannot sit down for an interview. When Joe Biden was the candidate, all of our complaints were, why isn't Joe Biden doing a sit-down long-term interview?
And that's what they're trying to do with her.
And so Joe Biden does not speak to anybody. The only interview
he's in the basement because of COVID. He's in the basement because of COVID. Remember all that?
But then even during this campaign, during this election cycle, going into 2024, the only long-form interview that Joe Biden did was with Howard Stern. Right? So he's the leading candidate for the Democrats. He only speaks to Howard Stern, doesn't do another interview until after he decides to step down. And since he decides to step down, now Joe Biden has done more interviews than Kamala Harris has. Kamala Harris has been absent for 22 days. So why can't the Democratic nominee that is running for president sit down and answer questions in an interview?
They can't.
Thank you.
She has because Rob, they know she has absolutely nothing to say. And all the arguments that I'm getting back home at them, it's like from all the Californians that I know, is name me one thing that she has done. Like, I'm being genuine. Name one thing that she could stand on and say, at least I did this. If you're the border czar, which means emperor, king, you failed completely. Besides her record when she was in San Francisco and in California, but it's like, and by the way, they're doing a great job. MSNBC, the mainstream media, besides Fox, it's all left, correct? Dude, they're going to just say, yeah, you guys, by the way, she's going on the whole, listen, I'm a woman of color. by the way, she's on Time Magazine. Did you see the difference from Trump to her? It's like her moment. And it's like Kamala. You're not going to hear from her for a while. And you're not going to hear from her.
And by the way, Time Magazine did that article, and I saw the write-up on it, and there was a leak from a reporter inside Time Magazine that said, we did this article without the benefit of being able to sit down with the candidate. We had to collect everything, which basically they collected talking points from the campaign flags. Yeah. That's how they did it to build this. So they are there. Look, the media, and what was amazing, David Sachs said it best. Do you have the quote from David Sachs? I think I sent it to you last night. Let's read that.
Yes. Humberto, could you pull it up? I sent it to you in Slack.
Yep. And it's very interesting. And this is what a lot of people are thinking, and this is what we are thinking.
Yeah.
What's this? Is this the tweet?
Yeah. By my count, J.D. Vance submitted to 3 adversarial press interviews today, which is 3 more than Harris and Waltz have done together, both of them, by the way, during the entire campaign. 22 days for Harris.
Yeah.
The mainstream media cooperates with this strategy. They see their job as electing Harris, not educating voters about what she would do as president.
Yeah.
I have a...
Well, go.
There's one word. If you can pull that up 1 second.
Umberto, can you put it
There's
back?
one word that stands out to me. What? There's one word.
Wait.
What's the one word that stands out?
Cooperates.
Keep going.
Strategy.
Yeah.
Thank you. PBD just wrote a book, multiple books, Wall Street Best Journal. Your next 5 moves, is it business strategy? What is it called?
Yeah, I think so.
Your choose your enemies wisely, business strategy. That's the concept of this. So if I'm the Democrats, there's like, just let's back up a second. The Twitter spaces, I get it. Like I said, it's a conversation that needs to happen. I wish it was audio and visual. I want to see it.
What if one of them is in Australia? Who cares?
Then you get together and do an interview like we do right now.
Okay.
The strategy with Kamala is pretty simple. Don't talk.
Yeah, but that's
ridiculous. Like, I know that you wanted to talk.
Yeah.
The reason that you wanted to talk, because she's got some explaining to do.
Of course.
The less she talks, because you know what's better than Kamala Harris? The idea of Kamala Harris.
Yeah,
correct.
You know what's worse than Donald Trump? The
reality.
idea of Donald Trump. Threat to democracy. No, he's not. Yeah. The reality is they're doing a campaign strategy. And in my opinion, the strategy is the more she talks, less people like her.
Yeah.
She's very unlikable.
Of course, she's
like
horrible.
the number one clip I have imprinted in my mind is the debate with Mike Pence.
Yeah.
I'm speaking.
Yeah.
I'm speaking.
Yeah, she's
like,
a chameleon.
I hear that. I'm like, oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
So Barack Obama knows this. Joe Biden knows it, that she's unlikable. Mm-hmm. So they're like, what can we do to get her like? By the way, you can pull up poll numbers. They are skyrocketing for this lady.
Yeah.
Even though her vice presidential numbers were horrible.
Yeah.
So their strategy is quite simple. Don't talk, Kamala.
Yeah.
And let Donald Trump just say wild ass shit.
Yeah, but on the same token, for a party not to let their leading candidate speak, to let the people see and feel who she is, to me, it seems like they already know that their other strategy is a lock. All the illegals, everybody coming in. We talked about, bro, that the DMV in Florida, there was a line of 200 people showing up that aren't citizens that were getting registered to vote. So it's the same thing as COVID. Keep them in the basement. Because guess what? Yep. Everybody's going to mail in their votes, and we're going to be Gucci. It's almost as if they already have an insurance. Keep her quiet.
Well, let's stay on the campaign for a second.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead.
Stay on the campaign for a second, and then we can go to voters in a little bit, because you're right on both things.
Yes.
But let's stay on campaign. She's running against her own record, and the media is absolutely complicit. Do we have the CBS tweets? Right?
Yes.
What did she come out? Watch this. America, watch. You want to know what's on the ballot? This is not four angry men here. This is not four angry patriots, although I think there's
one of
four
them, and
angry
Rob's wearing the shirt.
And Rob's wearing the shirt. You get that at VT.com.
Which tweet do you want, Tommy? Which one do you want?
There's two tweets, Humberto. It's the CBS tweets that are...
This
Here
one?
we go. CBS News, unredacted, untouched tweet from... A couple months ago, former President Donald Trump vowed to stop taxing tips would cost the federal government up to $250 billion over 10 years, according to a nonpartisan watchdog group. So they find the negative in it because CBS is a biased shill for the Democratic Party. Then Kamala Harris comes out running against her own record of taxation, running against the Biden administration's counter that said Donald Trump was crazy. You can't do that. People need to pay their fair share of taxes. Vice President Kamala Harris is rolling out a new policy position. That's true. This is new for her, saying she'll fight to the end taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers. Look at this. They find it. They make her the champion of the people. She's running against her own record, and she is only able to do that with the complicity of the mainstream media that is not saying, wait a damn minute. This isn't what you said 2 weeks ago. This isn't what you did when you were in California. This isn't what the Biden administration did. There is no questioning this. They're doing it on border policy, and they're doing it on tax. They are attempting to appear equal to Donald Trump on key policies while they promote the idea of Kamala Harris being president. And Lord God, don't let her end up in a debate.
Forget, and Rob, I'll go to you. And that's why, Adam, I think, besides, who cares that they weren't in front of each other? That's why the Twitter space is so important, because you got to hear this guy speak for what, Rob, 2.5 hours? Bro,
2
at
hours.
his age, and it was, what time was it here?
It didn't end until I logged off at 11:45.
And he was, dog, he was there the entire time, meaning like in the moment, not sounding old, not sounding tired. Rob, what were you going to say?
10:45. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
There is a clip of Kamala Harris. The tax on tips this came up during the spaces yesterday between Elon and Trump, where Trump brings it up. Humberto, it's clip number 5, Kamala tax on tips, where Trump addresses this. And by the way, that tweet that you showed, Tom, the dates were cut off, but they are on the actual tweets themselves. The one from Trump announcing the no tax on tips was from June 17th of this year, and Kamala's was from August 12th. 2 months later.
So 60 days ago and 5 days ago.
Yes, exactly.
And it's just wild because like the campaign right now, the Democrats. By the way, you want to talk about democracy? None of them want her. They don't want to vote for Kamala. They have to. So it makes me laugh. All these Democrats that keep preaching and screaming that word democracy. There's zero democracy in what's happening with them and what's happening with Kamala's campaign.
And we have a clip of Trump talking about that. We'll play that in just a minute. But Humberto, if you could, clip number 5. This is where Donald Trump talks about Kamala Harris now being for taxes being waived on tips.
Okay. Allegedly.
Would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, but we also need to shut down illegal immigration and especially unvetted illegal immigration because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell.
I'd love to hear what Trump's response to that would be.
Of who comes across the border. Does that accurately represent your position?
I say it very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked. Yeah. Because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. No tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you and were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible. And I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job on the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you hear 12 million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country, many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is insane asylums, and many are terrorists.
So he's not wrong.
I mean, he's
not wrong.
How many years?
He's probably not accurate with the numbers, but the concept is not wrong.
No, but I mean, Adam, he's been saying this from the beginning. And nothing has changed. Nothing has shifted. Yeah. He's telling the truth. It's the motive of why. Why is the border open? It's not because they care. It's not because the Biden administration and Kamala and Mayorkas love these people and they want to bring them. No, we know exactly what they're doing. They're trying to flood our system. This is going towards communism and this is Marxism. That's exactly what the hell they want. And it's the votes. I don't care at the end of the day, why do you want all these people here? And how many times Pat did the podcast? Tom, we all did it. Who was it? Cuomo and Candace. 16 out of the 50 states, you don't need ID to vote. 11, you don't need to vote. Like, what are we even talking about? That's the reason. That's why she's going to stay in the basement. She's going to stay in the White House. She doesn't need to talk. You're right. That's a great strategy. Yeah. Keep her in the. Why even talk? Go ahead.
What do you trust poll numbers?
I don't trust any of that. So Hillary, remember Hillary?
Some of the polling.
Well, I guess
it's a whole different ball of wax. You want to talk?
I'm
going to do poll numbers.
Tom,
what are the most trustworthy polls?
So typically, and when I say this, I say typically, you have to go into the polls that talk about likely voters, LVs, not RVs, and not just citizens on the street.
No, but what, like Pew, Quinnipiac, 538, ABC, NBC, Fox, like
Vegas.
Vegas.
When
sure,
the
Vegas.
New York Times and Siena have ample time and they run more than 1,000 units on likely voters, typically you get things that end up being pretty close to where the election ends. And that's the only way to judge the pollsters is to see what they were saying and then go see the election.
Is 538 a credible source to
538? Look, Nate Silver's a smart guy. Not a bad guy. I met Nate and I talked to him at
Humberto, can you pull up 538 I just want to see what these numbers look like.
I don't want to say the name of it. It's a sports analytics conference. I just don't want to give any.
Yeah.
Pimp to it. Anyway, the Dorkapalooza. So anyway.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
You
sports
got to be a
analytics.
dork if BizDoc's like, you're a bunch of dorks.
That's right. And so there I was at the Dorkapalooza.
Do you have that 538?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
Can we punch in on that?
Basically, let's talk about two truths in the polls. The first truth is the Electoral College will elect people.
Yeah.
The second truth in the polls is when you are the media and you are shamelessly pushing Kamala Harris, you talk about the national poll movement. But these national polls, you never know what the composition is. Sure, you can look at the crosstabs and see how many men, how many women, was it relatively equal, but you don't know where they are. And if they over-index just a little bit in New York or California, then a national poll over-indexes. So when they're doing national polls, 46% support Harris, Trump 43. Adam, you could do it this way. Mm-hmm. Basketball playoffs are about to start, right?
Yeah. What?
No,
they just ended.
He's saying in general.
No.
Let's just say
Football season.
Can you pull up the opinion on
I just
Kamala?
said basketball playoffs.
No, you say football.
No, baseball playoffs
The
are about to
opinion
start.
on Kamala.
Baseball playoffs are about to start, and baseball stats represent full truth. In basketball and football, you have time of possession. Time of possession can be very different, but guess what? The team that had the ball less scored fastest and beat you. So when you look at, these national polls, the national polls are telling you about trends of a national mood, but they don't tell you what the Electoral College is looking like. And so they are running national polls. Kamala Harris up 2 points. There has been a bounce. There has been enthusiasm. Do you approve or disapprove on Kamala Harris? Take a look at this. The disapproval, is down slightly. The approval is up slightly. That is the bounce. That is the enthusiasm that's here right now. But these polls are inherently flawed. Yep. If you take a look, everybody thinks Rasmussen is just a shill for the Republican Party. That's not true. Go back and look at the Rasmussen numbers in the weeks leading up to election, then see the election. And then when they come out the same, you say, oh, wow, I guess Rasmussen was right. They were predicting things correct. Even if it was a state you lose, they were predicting it correctly. And Rasmussen pointed out that we've had like a 5 to 6 day embargo where there have been no new polls taken, not polls released. They say, poll came out today, and you look at it, just July 31st to August 2nd. That's a week old now, more than a week old. You see what I mean? Yeah. From when they release the poll, from when they take the poll. There have been like 5 days there, and Rasmussen, there's a Rasmussen clip that shows you how the bounce is changing. And if Humberto, if you go to the Rasmussen Twitter account and look for the red, blue, and black chart that they have.
Rasmussen.
Yeah.
And they do
Rasputin?
They take a poll every single day, and they'll show you how the bounce went for Kamala and how it's settling. Mm-hmm. Sure, she is having a net gain, but it's not like what they're talking about. And this is why they can't have her do a debate. Yeah.
Well, she's going to do a debate. They've already said
well,
the dates,
they want this bounce, and they want the convention. They want all that momentum. And then she's going to have to walk in and do a debate. What, September 4th?
September 10th.
September 10th.
September 10th. That's right. She refused to do the 4th.
Yeah, and Tom, Rob, I want to go to you, because going off your point, because Adam, we went from a corpse, a literal corpse, to a woman of color, and that base, everybody, it lit a fire. But Tom, you just nailed it. That fire now is starting to settle and just become a kindle, because now it's like, okay, we want to hear the excitement of you and Waltz and yay, fireworks.
But to be clear, she's net up from where Biden was.
Tom, I'm telling you right now, you could have taken a rock and spray painted it pink and be like, yay, anything would have been better than Biden. So that spike now is starting to settle. And I'm telling you guys, once the debate happens, that's going to happen. And then it's going to see when this is what I'd say about the Democrats. They're like a wild animal that's backed into a corner. Once they realize and they see, like, dude, it took how many years for them to finally have Biden raw out there, no drugs to debate Trump? And what happened? Everybody went, wait a minute. Clooney, everybody, money, they're like, abandon ship. The moment she opens her mouth live in front of Trump, it's over. And then we'll see what their tactic changes.
It was designed by strategy for Biden to fail during that debate. It came out 3 weeks ago that White House insiders knew that Biden would not step down, and that was a move from the White House to try and put him out there to show America that he was not ready and not fit to be president because he couldn't stand in a debate. So they knew this. They covered it up. They put him out there, which, what if they do the same thing? It's funny that Kamala goes, hey, if you have something to say it to my face. Trump says, okay, let's do it 3 dates. And she goes, no, I only want to do one of those. By the way, Humberto, could you pull back up Kamala's approval and disapproval ratings? I think it's very interesting. If you look at that chart and you see when she was elected as vice president in 2021, takes office, if you take a look at how that flip-flops, that should be all that you need to know as an American voter. Look at where her approval rating was and now where it is, and look at her disapproval and where it is now. They flip-flop. She's actually at the same point. When she look at that right now, go back to 2021 where she takes office.
The favorable versus unfavorable one that tells it even
hold
better.
on.
Look at approval.
It's the same thing.
All the way over. Go all the way over to the where it starts. Right.
Right there.
Now look, she's at 48.1%.
Okay.
Now scroll all the way to the right where we're at today.
48.1?
48.1.
Humberto, where can I slap you?
48.9% disapproval. So if you're a voter, look at that.
Adam,
People wanted her in the beginning, and now people don't want her whatsoever. And that
just
chart
slack
shows
Humberto.
you that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. She's unlikable, guys. She's unlikable. But my point is, what are they going to do? Tom,
Well, I'll show you what's coming. What are they going to do? That's a great question.
Yes.
Let's go to that, Vinny. Humberto and Rob, do you have that? I just sent it to you guys.
you said it's a. Can you slack it
Humberto, sent it to you. You got it? Rasmus.
Rasmus, he's going to
It's
get
in text.
it.
I'll send it to you in Slack as well.
Tom, debate aside, okay? Right now, do you genuinely think that she's ahead of Trump? Honestly.
Do I think that she...
Like, if the election happened right now, today, would Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump?
Right now, it's going to be very tight in Arizona and Georgia because women have moved and those states have tightened up. But I happen to think net that I look at the crosstabs. I think Trump is still ahead in Georgia.
Okay.
I don't think it's a pure toss-up. I think he's 2.5, 3 points ahead. Okay. Is it tighter than it was on Biden? Yeah. I think he can win this thing, but he's fighting the news media. You've got people on other national podcasts saying, hey, you know what? He has to defeat her, and he has to beat the national news media that refuses to inspect her and that is nothing but cheering for her.
Yeah.
Do we have that one? Can we pop that up?
Yep. He's right there.
There it is. Okay, take a look at this. Now, look at the tweet. Can you show us the tweet that put this up?
Tweet is here on the side.
The tweet on the right, Tom.
Trump don't let the embargo of other polling fool anyone. Democrats are in real trouble. Okay, scroll up on that so we can see the rest of the tweet that was there and see the one that's right. We're polling Trump Harris daily. Here are the updated things. Now, take a look. Now, let's look at the little blue chart. What this shows you is that Harris had a massive bounce when she joined. But take a look at the numbers on the left. The numbers on the left, there was a moment where the enthusiasm was up. See where it was? Yeah. But now, look what has settled back down if you go in. And by the way, there's one of these charts that's from yesterday, the 12th. Can you find this chart in the Rasmussen thread from yesterday?
Rasmussen. That just sounds funny.
It's even better. They run that chart every day, so anybody who wants to look at it can look at it. People say, oh, wow, they're this way or that way. No, go take a look at it. They're either going to be embarrassed. Now take a look at the 12th. Look at the last days. 5, 10, 4, 4, 4, 4. Trump is showing that he's 4 points ahead on national tracking polls. This is the definition of an enthusiasm bounce and a settling. See where this is? And now look at where those lines are at the very, very end. They're 3-4 points apart on a national basis.
Can we?
I think that's the truth.
Let's play a weird game here, guys.
Okay,
let's play a weird game.
Okay.
We're all Democrat strategists, right?
Yeah.
Just go with me here.
Okay.
Guys, we did it. We got Biden out. We know that he was a walking dead man. We got Kamala in. Can we all agree that's what we wanted to do?
Yeah.
As strategists?
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
He's done. He's toast.
We got Kamala.
Yeah, we need her.
Listen.
She checks all the boxes.
I made a bet with you haven't paid up on yet.
Me? I won that bet too.
I thought it was going to happen, but did I necessarily want it to happen?
Tom, you're a Democratic strategist for this game.
Yeah, just let's play this game.
Oh, okay.
Forget being a white evangelical Christian Republican for
go
a
for
second.
it. All right. So we're in the.
We did it, guys.
Well, if I need to be a Democratic strategist, what you need to do is kill me and then ask me a week from now because.
Perfect.
All right, go. Perfect. Hear this.
We did it, guys. All right. What's part 2? We're gonna just anoint Kamala.
Okay.
We can't put Gavin in. Can't put Gretchen Whitmer in. Like, can't Pete Buttigieg? We can't usurp this black woman of color. I mean, right?
Yeah.
We got to
Not
get
just
Kamala.
black, but a woman of color.
We got to go with
for
Kamala.
sure.
All right. Hey, guys, one last thing. Everyone hates Kamala, right?
Even us in this room.
Right. Like,
none of us can
we
stand
agree.
her.
We
She has
agree.
the highest turnover rate as a vice president in history.
What is
amongst
that? What do you mean
staff.
by turnover?
The people could not
Yeah.
stand
Oh,
working
that's
with her
right.
in the White House.
Everybody's
They kept quitting.
So we're all on the same page here.
Yeah,
Biden's out. Kamala's in. No one likes Kamala.
Yeah.
What's the next step? You know what Kamala should do? Nothing. Don't let her talk. Don't let her defend her horrible record. The border's a mess. Everyone feels inflation. She's the border czar. She's cackling Kamala.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, guys. Can we all agree here as Democratic
yeah.
strategists? Tell her to shut the up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what she's going to say
Wave,
tomorrow?
smile,
Yes.
wave,
I got it.
read.
And I got an idea,
You know what
guys.
she's going to do
That's
tomorrow?
her strategy.
You know what she's
Smile,
gonna do?
Wave, read.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Don't do anything
got- yeah.
until let me land the plane here.
Yeah.
Next week is what?
Is the
The DNC.
yeah.
They're going to bring out Barack Obama.
Yeah.
They're going to bring out Michelle.
Yeah.
They're going to somehow
Hillary.
wear out Jimmy Carter.
Hillary.
Hillary. Bing, 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 bing. They're going to tee her up and they're just going to be like, Kamala,
Yeah.
just don't fuck this up. Get out there, stick to the speech we're going to create for you, handwritten,
Yeah.
and just
Stick to the script.
You're not inspiring. You're not insightful. You're not amazing. You're just the DEI coronated lady. Get it done to beat Trump. Stick to the game plan. You'll speak once on stage then, and one debate, and best of luck.
Yeah.
And that's the plan.
And let the puppeteers
And you know what?
run the company.
And you know what? They're like, that's enough to beat Trump.
Yeah.
And that's their strategy.
By the way, and I've been,
Am I wrong?
I don't know. And I've been telling people, guys, we had this talk. Do not underestimate these people. The Democrats are going to stop at nothing to beat this guy. By the way, we've been saying this with Pat on the PBD podcast. They're going to stop at nothing. If you think Russian collusion was bad, if you think COVID coming from a lab that we own, guys, once they realize, once that dip starts to hit, and you nailed it, Adam. I completely forgot about that. The DNC is going to be that new revival. But if they realize it ain't happening, then you're going to see the adjustment. But hey, just real fast before we keep going, because I know, Rob, you want to say something. Guys, for everybody that's here, that hasn't, first time here, first time Unusuals, if you guys haven't subscribed, boom, subscribe, please. Like, subscribe, Unusual Suspects. We're so happy that you guys are here. We talk about everything. And yeah, we're happy to have you guys here. I love you guys. Anyway, moving on. So, Rob, you have another clip.
Yes. Speaking of the Biden coup, Donald Trump brings this up yesterday during the Spaces event with Elon Musk. Clip number 7, Humberto, is where Donald Trump talks about the Democrats pushing Biden out in favor of Kamala.
It was a coup.
Low IQ. Very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war would have been, that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how.
He's right.
Sure.
Hey, look, just in the two armies, you lost 500,000 people, and Ukraine's having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story, but if you think about it, Russia's gone. Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting force.
Yeah. So,
and it's very unfair.
They lost
and
in
Ukraine
Afghanistan,
now
though.
doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight.
Yep.
And we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that. And a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad. The words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you, it can lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a World War III right now for no reason whatsoever.
That was a different clip. That was him talking about Biden's IQ. Nonetheless, very funny.
Still very
it's
funny.
great to hear him. Stupid threats from a stupid face. But
Well, hold
Umberto,
on.
clip 11 is the
Before
Coup
we move
one.
on
Yeah.
from that, the stupid thing, great, ha ha ha. Can we just discuss Ukraine for a second?
Yeah.
How much money have we spent to Ukraine?
200, according to Trump, over 200 billion.
I'm texting you stuff because it's not pulling up. He said something very important right there.
What?
The amount of, like, we tend to highlight, he called Biden stupid. Let's address the heart of the matter, what he said about Ukraine. You're starting to see the stories that are coming out.
Yeah.
And everyone, the first day, we all kind of were on
Not me.
team ribbon, whatever
Not
it
me.
was. Okay.
Definitely not me.
Sure. But slowly it's been chipping away. And now you start to see these stories come out. Umberto, this was the lead story in the Wall Street Journal. Did you get the text? Ukraine needs more men, but the ones who want to fight already signed up. Young men are going into hiding and are trying to find ways out of the country. I have something to say on this.
Fly to Mexico City and take a walk north.
Very true.
The result, here's another part of the article, and I'll tell you my story. The results are now reshaping life in much of Ukraine. Young men are notably few in the subway in Kiev and outside of the resorts. Some villages in Western Ukraine have been effectively emptied of men. Businesses complain that it has grown more difficult to find workers in recent months, especially in traditionally male-dominated fields such as construction. Here's what's happening. Young men are being sent to die, to fight Putin's war, and what's the president of Ukraine's name?
Zelensky's
Zelensky.
response, which is increasingly becomes Zelensky's
Young
war.
men are being evaporated. Now, it's a numbers game. It's a battle of attrition. How many people are in Ukraine versus how many people in Russia? Triple, quadruple? I don't know. How many? Russia has what? 100 million, 200 million people? What's the number they have? Less than the United States, more?
144 million.
Okay. Ukraine has 30 million people. I'm taking
38 million.
Okay. So I took wild guesses, but I was pretty accurate. The numbers, so if they lose 100,000 and you lose 100,000, you really lost 300,000.
Yeah.
Because they have triple the amount than you. Now, here's what's interesting. The men are being sent to die in war. Who gives a shit? You have no idea. And this is like a whole nother conversation. How many beautiful Ukrainian girls I see in Miami, in New York, in Europe, traveling. They're on dating apps. I went to this Hard Rock fight the other day. A buddy of mine, wealthy guy, dating a Ukrainian girl. She's like, I escaped the war. I found him. Yeah. The women are great, living a life of luxury. The men are dying.
Yep.
And the story goes on in the Wall Street Journal about men are literally living in hiding because they don't want to go fight this war.
They're getting drafted.
And this is what we're funding.
Yep.
And the men in Ukraine, the ones that are fighting, that have signed up, because if you read the reports, on day one, every guy signed up. They went to defend their country.
Course.
It's like, hey guys, we're being attacked in America. We're all signing up.
Of course.
Tom, me, Vinnie, Rob. But what's happened is 2 years later, the men who are like, I was just a graphic designer.
Yeah.
I'm hiding. They're literally hiding in basements.
And guess what? I just saw.
They're never gonna win this war.
They're not. But wait, and hold on. We all knew that. We all know that. Like that's why when you said Adam, wearing the pins and I know you didn't either. I was never that guy because I see through all their BS. And mind you, I've seen videos on X on YouTube of Ukraine using guys with Down syndrome. They grabbing guys with Down syndrome just to have them go and walk in the front and potentially hit a landmine. They don't care, and Zelensky doesn't care. That rat just sitting there, give me money, give me, I'll pay back, I'll pay back. To hell with him.
And can I say one more thing? Yeah. Let's talk about the guys that are in hiding, but then when they catch them,
they're done.
They go to jail.
Of course. Yeah.
So you either go to war and die or go to jail.
I'm going to jail.
Straight to jail. That's the reality of being a man who's living in Ukraine at this point.
Tom, in the early 90s, when the Gulf War broke out, CNN was the first time. It was the first time that you could live stream and watch a war unfold.
Yeah. Desert Storm.
But now, the difference between then and now is you would see the bombings going on, but you wouldn't see the fatalities.
Yeah.
When you scroll on X today and you look, there's videos of kids getting blown up by grenades being dropped by drones, and people are retweeting. It's like there's this weird faction of humanity that has lost caring and giving a shit about the 500,000 people. Sorry for my language. The 500,000 people that have died. It just becomes something that people just scroll past, and that's insane to me.
You bring up such a great point, and I'm going to flip it on you. I haven't seen barely any footage of what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. I see tons of stuff of what's going on in Gaza. Tons.
Well, I see bombings.
Do you see a lot of footage?
You don't see
Okay, maybe you. Where do you see it on Twitter?
On X.
Have you seen it on any mainstream platform?
No, I don't think they would because of the graphic nature. But on X,
but they'll do it for Gaza. They'll do it for other wars. This isn't like a Gaza thing.
Gaza
I have not seen any stuff that's going on in Ukraine.
I mean, I don't know how active you are on X, but dog, I'm saying, but Adam, because X is the place to see everything. There's drone footage. Like there's one drone recording the other drone, and it's a guy, a Ukrainian guy, pleading
I've
for
seen
his
that
life,
one video.
And then it blows.
Yes.
Oh, Adam, I've seen 10 of them.
Yes, that's the problem. I've seen yes, exactly. There's and when the issue of aid to Ukraine came up last night, Trump didn't say, day one, I'm going to stop funding the war in Ukraine. That's not what he said. What he said was, why isn't Europe actually helping and paying more to fund the defense of Ukraine? They're Ukraine's neighbors. They're right next to one another.
Yeah.
Do you know how much Europe as a whole has paid to defend Ukraine?
How much?
$56 billion.
Oh, really?
So they paid a quarter of what the United States has paid to defend Ukraine, and yet that's their neighbor. And Trump goes, there's a large sea between us. Well, yes, there is. There's a large sea that separates us. But why isn't Europe picking up their fair share of the bill to help defend?
Because they know we'll do it.
Yeah.
And this is the same argument that Trump made about NATO when he was in office, where he told Germany, you got to pay your fair share. I'm happy to give you the missiles. I'm happy to give you the arms so that you feel like your eastern border will always have a level of protection facing Russia. But you got to pay your fair share.
Yeah.
And what happens is there's a big circle, comes back to military-industrial complex, where the defense contractors in the United States says, I don't care where the money comes from. We got to get missiles over there to protect Europe because it's in our, altogether now, national security interest.
Say one, because I want to move on to get back to the Trump, because I know you had another video.
There is. Well, specifically, for some levity when it comes to this situation, Trump did address warning Putin about invading Ukraine while he was in office. Humberto, clip number 20. This is Putin this is Trump issuing a warning to Putin not to invade Ukraine while president.
Mm-hmm. And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do, and he said, no way. And I said, way. And you know, it's the last time we ever had the conversation.
What is this, Wayne's World? Was this Garth Algar?
But Adam, and I get it. Funny, but in a crazy way, like the respect that you have from someone that's like, you're not gonna, no way. But hold on, let's be honest. Adam, did it work? Nothing happened when this dude was in, because not only did they like him, they feared him. There was that balance, bro. Because right now, like, God forbid, you know, I think about time with you. If, God forbid, China attacked us right now, who's making the calls? Who, let's be real. I'm not making fun of his, like, Biden has no clue what's going on. It's the people. It's going to be the Blinken. It's going to be all the people around him.
You could joke about it if it's after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Biden's asleep. It doesn't matter. It's Blinken and the cabal that are the puppet masters.
Obama and Hillary. Because look,
what's a cabal?
A cabal is a group of people that work together in the shadows that nobody knows.
We all know the Secretary of State. We all know.
No, but it's the they. But Adam, but who are they reporting to? Because at the end of the day, I know everybody always says there's a group. There's somebody running the show, and you know who's in that team? Barack Obama's in that team. Hillary Clinton's in that team. Bill Clinton's in that team. And guess what? The real people, we don't really know. But they're probably walking around the White House with lanyards.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm gonna challenge. Do you want Biden making the decisions?
No, but hold on. But
so
where's
which
our
one
president?
is it?
Well, but going back to my point, I want that leader.
Yes, I do. I want the elected president in an operating government the way it's designed with the checks and balances.
Feel like he's
I want him in.
Donald. Okay.
No, we can talk about incapacitation all day long.
So, do you want a retarded elected president or a smart unelected?
Come on.
No, which one? No, but my point is the
Adam,
leader.
I don't know if I want Biden
Adam,
making
you're being too
decisions.
clever with that.
but
You're
he's the
being too
president.
clever with that. It's not what I'm saying.
I'm asking a question. Do you want Biden making decisions at this point?
No,
if
but
he's incapacitated, then the 25th Amendment goes out and the vice president is there.
Yeah.
And the reason this election is so important is exactly what you're saying right now.
Yeah.
You're trying to push back kind of a lunatic point back at me
No,
about
it's nothing to do with
you would want Biden and everything. Easy does it. I would want Biden. I don't want Biden, but I don't want a permanent change to the working government of the United States as it was designed, the best form of government that's ever been put forth on the planet, or they can say the worst form except for all the others.
Right.
That's what I want. I want that working government in place, and I want to elect a leader who's capable of sitting in the chair and defending us. Let me tell you, this is a small sample size, but we went for Bailey the Golf Girls, graduated this year. Went to the Austrian Grand Prix over there in Graz, about an hour south of Vienna. Was wonderful. And they saw, I had PBD podcast shirt on, and people saw, and you know what they said? These people in Austria, now remember, this is Austrian Grand Prix, so this is like going to a nice event. This probably is not man on the street. But these Austrians said, I have a business here, I do this. Quote, when there's a strong U.S. president, all of Europe feels safe. I didn't write that for him. He said it right to my face casually. Meeting my family, I was meeting his family. I'll say it again. When there's a strong U.S. president, all of Europe feels safe. Small sample size, one person. And that U.S. president needs to be willing to go up against kind of, international lunatics. It's like, oh, Rob, you have North Korea?
I do. Clip 19 is where he talks about, this is Donald Trump talking about dealing with Kim Jong-un. Clip 19, Humberto, instead of 18 first. 19 and then 18, he discusses all the world leaders, but this is specifically Trump on Kim Jong-un.
Nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and, all the different things.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden I got a call.
Those were some epic tweets, by the way.
Yeah, they
Those
were. They were
absolutely
epic. Everything he said. He said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. And I called him Little Rocket Man. Of Little Rocket Man. Anyway, here's the bottom line. All of a sudden, I got a call from him, and they said they want to meet. They want to meet me, and we met.
Yeah.
As you remember, we met in Singapore. We met also in Vietnam. And I got along with him great. We were in no danger. But President Obama thought we were going to end up in a war, a nuclear war with him. And let me tell you, he's got a lot of nuclear stuff, too.
Exactly.
He's got plenty of nuclear. He can do plenty of damage.
Yes, I mean, it's because, people like Kim Jong-un, they respond to strength, not weakness.
Well,
And
he and I had a good relationship. Remember I met him and we walked onto his land. Nobody ever walked onto his land before. I walked onto. I wouldn't say let's bring up Secret Service again. I wouldn't say they were thrilled when I did that. I walked onto his land, and it was an amazing period.
Right, and Bob, that video was an amazing video where he's standing there at that demarcation, that line,
the DMZ,
the DMZ, and he's talking to him, and he's like, "Hello," and he shakes, and he just slaps his little shoulder like 5 or 6 times, and he goes, "Can I come in? Can I?" And he goes, "This is the first time nobody's ever done this," and he comes over and like, "Bro, we had strength, we had somebody that people." Feared, and it wasn't like fear, like, oh, this guy's crazy, he's just gonna nuke us. No, it was strength. It was, dude, personality. It was fun. Did you watch the whole thing on him? His personality came off. He was funny. He was there. He showed strength. Like, dude, you want to hear what I took away from this, Rob? He could talk off script for hours. He was funny. Trump and Elon, by the way, they have a great relationship. I didn't know it was gonna be like this, Rob. Did you have any idea that these guys were this? Like the respect that they have for each other?
I know that they talk privately because Elon has mentioned several times at large events that he and Trump had spoken on the phone. He said sometimes Trump calls me and we talk for a few hours.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new for the two of them, but it is interesting to hear two of the world's most interesting people. Is Elon the richest person in the world right now?
Elon's up
So
there,
the richest person in the world, speaking with the former leader of the free world on a phone call where the two of them are, because, I mean, they get into nuclear energy. They discuss religion. There's another great clip, Vinny, when you wrap up.
Well, can I say something about Elon before you do this? Because Tom wrote this in our PBD chat. I think it's really testament to where things stand, and I totally understand where Elon Musk is at this point, because I'm probably in the Elon Musk camp and the Rogan camp in that matter, where Musk said, I've not been very political before. They try to paint me as a far-right guy, which is absurd because I like to make electric vehicles. I supported Obama, period. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand. Historically, I was a moderate Democrat. Me too.
Yeah.
But now I feel like we're at a critical juncture in the country. I think we all feel that.
Yeah.
For the people out there in the moderate camp, me, I think you should support Donald Trump for president. I will. So he's right. There's a lot of people in the middle. And America gets bipolar every 4 to 8 years. We go from Bush to Obama to Trump to Biden, and now we're going to see, and that's fine. That's great. That's democracy. But there's a lot of people in the middle that would have never voted for Trump in 16 or in 20 that are taking a very close look at Trump and being like, I think I got to do it. There's a lot of people that feel that way.
For the sake of
the question is it enough? We'll see.
Unless something major happens, unless something big, something where you have to stay home or whatever, it's to me, it's undeniable, because you nailed it, Adam, and you've come a long way. For the viewers that don't know, you were all the way over there. Hillary, Biden.
No, I was a moderate Democrat. No, I wasn't all the way over there.
Well, you voted for Hillary and you voted for Biden.
Like, let's understand that concept, because that is a very important thing. The JFK Democrats, the Bill Clinton Democrats. He's from Arkansas. It's not like he's from Brooklyn.
Of course.
They feel lost.
Yeah.
They're like, I just kind of believed in like liberal values and civil rights and
gone so hard
good
left.
pay, but now you want to turn all the kids into trannies and what? I'm not down for this wokeness.
Yeah.
And it's making people say, you know what? And there's a lot of people who have to come to Jesus moment, say, they did lie to us about Trump.
Yeah.
The Russia
If you look
thing.
back historically, Kennedy is standing in the middle, and the shoe on his right is touching the red side of center. Yeah. That was Kennedy.
Right. Yeah.
And Kennedy was never like a liberal over there. He was a Democrat in name only. He was a dinosaur, a Democrat in name only by today's standards.
Exactly. So if you want to look like as actual case examples, because you're a big case example guy, when I got hired to work with PBD at Valuetainment in 2020, he's like, where do you stand politically? I was like, I got to tell you, I'm like the furthest right Democrat. The furthest right. I'm like a Joe Manchin Democrat. Mm-hmm. And he's a Democrat from West Virginia, which is the reddest state in the union.
Of course.
He is now what? A registered independent.
Yeah, he left.
Okay?
Yeah.
RFK, who was a lifelong Democrat, family of JFK, an independent. Mm-hmm. Joe Rogan, a Bernie guy, probably going to vote for RFK, maybe Trump. We'll see.
Yeah.
That's another conversation.
Yeah.
Elon Musk voted for Obama.
Said
he stood in line for 6 hours. Now on Team Trump.
Did he vote for Biden? Do you know if did Elon vote for?
I don't know. But the point is, there's a lot of people in the movable middle, the sensible middle, who are like, yeah, bro, I'm down with the Democrats. I'm cool with the Republicans, whatever, that had to make a hard decision in 16.
Yeah.
Is it Trump or is it the legacy of Obama? And they went with Obama.
Yeah.
And 8 years later, they're looking at it. They're like, yeah, dude, I fucked up.
Yeah.
I'm going with Trump.
Yep.
And that's where a lot of people feel right now.
Well, I hope they actually do in the voting booth.
You were asking something big happening. And I think there's something big that's right in front of us. What people don't understand is we can all be tricked into thinking, oh, democracy is on the ballot because your guy is bad, so democracy is on the ballot and it's me. And that's what they're trying to do. What's going on right now is freedom is on the ballot, and liberty and the state of government as we know it in the United States is on the ballot. And I will prove it to you. The European Commission is a international group in Europe that governs, like the FCC in the United States. They govern a lot of things around e-commerce, communications, and news. And they put out a letter where they went to Elon Musk and asked him to censor what he was doing with Donald Trump on the X space because it was going to be distributed in Europe. And they wanted him to censor it. And you had in the UK, the prime minister stating inflammatory things that are said on X or, quote, other international platforms, meaning Insta, Meta, YouTube, right? TikTok, Snapchat. We believe that a time will come where we will be able to extradite those people that have those voices from foreign countries and bring them here for prosecution. If you do not hear in there, if you do not hear the footsteps of globalism walking down the hall, you, America, are not paying attention. This is globalism walking toward us, and we can hear the footsteps in the hall. Freedom and liberty and what's going on here, we need someone who will stand in the White House and say no one will be extradited under this Constitution anywhere for free speech like that. But you have AOC and Omar and others that would gladly consent to the authority of European Commission and of the international globalists and do it. So you need to think about that. America needs a savior, and I'm not talking religiously. I have my savior. I know where I'm going.
Me too.
I'm talking about America needs to be saved at this moment, and this is where we need Donald Trump, and then we need a new generation of sensible people willing to defend this Constitution, moderate in the middle, where all people can exist, but it's going to be led by this conservatives that are willing to stand up and say, I will take the bullet for freedom that all people will enjoy. That's what's on the ballot. Freedom is on the ballot right now. And this letter from the European Commission is real. They're walking down the hall, and there are people that have been elected in our government, in our cities and states, and yes, our Congress, that are willing to let it happen. When you go read that, just go look it up. Don't believe me. Forward this to your friends and have them look at it. Was there a letter from the European Commission? Was there a statement by the British Prime Minister that said that they would actually extradite Americans who said something on Twitter or X or Snapchat or TikTok that was anti or inflammatory what they want? And they try to get Musk to actually censor it. So they want to control the people that run the platforms. If that's the future you want, vote for Kamala Harris. If that's not the future you want, then vote for someone who's willing to be a savior of the system that you will need tomorrow and that you will need long after he serves his 4 years in term.
Tom, like one of the best pitches that I've heard in a while. And I'm sorry to the people out there that are just, they've been brainwashed to just hate Trump. Like all they think is Trump, 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 Trump. Put him out of your mind. Think of the message. Think of the mission. Think about what, and he also, what he say in his campaign thing that he posted, the first post he posted on X was in there. He says, they're not coming after me. They're coming after you. And I just happen to be in the way. Love him or hate him, guys. So and I'm sorry you were brainwashed and psyoped to just looking at this guy and going, Hitler, bad man, World War III, I'm sorry. But guess what? The future of this country is on the ballot. And I know people always say this is the most important election. Guys, it's never been like this. Technology's never been this advanced. Their manipulation, their tactics. And I'm telling you, you have to, don't vote with I'm emotional. No. Vote with this. Vote with what you know is right. The guy has laid it all out on the line. Okay, the guy's been shot in the face. He's got shot in the ear. And if that doesn't tell you, they've been trying to destroy him because what they want is deeper, Tom. And you nailed it. Look at what's happening in the UK, bro. Those people can't even talk. They've been grabbing people, Adam, and arresting them. We talked about it before we started. If you're retweeting somebody's message that the government doesn't like, they grab you and they put you in jail.
As an accessory.
Okay, well, amen to the First and Second Amendment. But Rob, I know you have a couple more clips. Are you going to hit the fact that Trump's one of his, the biggest ones that I took away, was that he promised to get rid of the Department of Education and give it to the states?
I don't have that. I do have, I think it's good to talk about, we brought up Elon and patriots doing something now.
Yes.
And trying to defend democracy now before it's too late. Clip number 6, Humberto. This is where Trump and Elon are talking about immigration, and they get to the point where both of them agree that they don't believe that the United States can last another 4 years of a Kamala Harris administration. Could you play clip number 6?
And I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years.
Yeah, no.
We have 20 million people for it. It's a terrible.
Yeah, I think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States.
It is.
And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country.
You don't have a country left. Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. We think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, the 4. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from everywhere. And I had to stay in Mexico.
Yeah, I think this is a super important point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico.
No, Mexico less.
It's just the border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth. It would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the US.
We're already overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed.
Think about who is saying that. An immigrant to the United States, Elon Musk, who was not born in this country, born in South Africa, immigrated here, created industries of work for massive amounts of American citizens, is saying illegal immigration is the biggest threat to the United States, and if we don't do something about this now, in 4 years from now, we will not have a country. So when you go, why is Elon doing this? Why is Elon even entertaining this phone call? I really believe it's because he thinks this is the biggest and most important election of our lifetimes, because if this doesn't go the right way, and it goes the wrong way, it's end of democracy, not just in the United States. The United States is the beacon of light of democracy for the entire world. It's the end of democracy worldwide if we do not win this election.
But abortions, Rob.
Yeah. Trump should just come on like, hey, ladies, kill as many babies as you want. But
that's great, your whole democracy thing. I slept with an asshole last night. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Abortions.
Well, isn't
2024.
Isn't that crazy? And
that's their campaign.
And by the way, you were talking about those middle people.
Literally their campaign.
And you nailed, those middle people that you're talking about that'll swing the election. That's what's going to make it go towards her.
It's already happening.
Women that are like, we want to. And by the way, it's women that aren't having sex with anybody. Period. Orange hair psychos that are like, hey, we want abortions. Nobody's hooking up with you.
I think
that's the ironic part.
It's not women or men. It's uneducated people. Because my wife is for a woman's right to choose. She is. That being said, she cannot continue to put our family at risk by having another 4 years of having open borders in this country, inflation through the roof, a fentanyl crisis coming in through the southern border. Yeah. So my wife is a lifelong Democrat who's going, I am voting for Trump in 2024. Does she think that women should be able to have the right to get an abortion under certain circumstances? Yeah. Absolutely. But she paid attention to the issues. I think any reasonable person looks at the two candidates and goes, well, one hasn't spoken to anybody. The other is addressing every single issue that I have. Which way am I going to vote? At least the guy who's addressing the problems, not the person running from them.
Respect to your wife. You're giving the voters way too much credit.
I know.
Most people, Pat has came up with an idea where it's sort of like a tiered voting system where the more you contribute to society, the more jobs you create, the more involved you are, the more votes you should have as a person. And the less you contribute, you might get 0 votes.
Yeah.
The reality is that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
The Elon Musk of the world gets 1 vote. The dumb, woke, ideological leftist also gets 1 vote.
Yeah.
And you have a math problem. There's going to be so many people out there that aren't even like hardcore this, hardcore that. They're just like, yeah, I heard that Trump is going to take away the abortion, and I'm out on that. Kamala.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but what about inflation? What about the border? What about crime? What about abortion? And there's a lot of girls that think like that.
That's Adam's making a very good point. You know, people are so distracted and not paying attention. It doesn't take much to pay attention. The fentanyl overdose crisis is actually worse now than it was last year, but it's dropped to number 4 among people who feel that they are news connected. In other words, when you do a survey of Americans, say, do you pay attention to the news and what things are important for society right now? And you get this: the election, the economy, immigration, fentanyl. Fentanyl has suddenly dropped to number 4.
Yeah.
Something so horrible like fentanyl.
Hundreds
there.
of thousands
But look
of
at what they're
Americans.
saying. Well, the election is incredibly important. We have to get this right so the right people will be leading us. And then our economy is in a shambles and people are suffering and they've run up credit card bills and they can't afford to buy food the way they used to. So that's number 2. Then immigration, all these people are coming across. And I have a friend who's in Arizona and she sees immigration live in her front yard. I sit here in Missouri and I just debate my friend on it because it's not in my front yard. But my friend in Arizona says immigration is in her front yard, sleeping in the alley behind her house, and was right by the ATM, so she didn't go to the ATM because there's a couple weird guys there. And so now in number 4 is fentanyl. That is what people who regard themselves to be news connected. So take a look at the overall crisis. And number 1, we have a crisis of leadership that we need to solve. Step 1 with this election.
Yeah, and by the way, yeah, we only have a couple minutes left. But in regard to Tom, when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, how many Japanese died when we dropped the bomb?
I don't remember how many,
Like,
but there was 2 sets. People that were killed by the immediate explosion. Actually, 3 sets.
Okay.
People that were killed because of injuries they suffered.
Yes.
Over the.
I'm saying the initial, Tommy. The initial boom.
And then
bomb.
lastly, the long-term cancers.
No, I'm saying the initial boom explosion.
I don't want to say a number be wrong.
Rob, where are we at? 200,000? 200?
I'm looking right now. Hiroshima death toll killed between 90,000 and 166,000 people.
Okay.
And then Nagasaki killed between 60 and 80,000.
Okay, guess what? From 2019 to 2022, guess what the estimate of fentanyl deaths, Americans dying in this country
3
from
years,
fentanyl, over 250 think about that. In 4 years,
250 what?
250,000
yeah, okay,
Americans,
gotcha.
give or take, probably more, have died because of this fentanyl. That's more than Hiroshima. That's more than Nagasaki.
Together.
And that's not number 4, Tommy.
I remember during COVID, they used to compare how many people died during COVID to 9/11. Today is 10 9/11s dead.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 250,000 people. How many 9/11s dead? 2,977,000 or
100.
2,977 people died on 9/11. This is 10, 20 times the amount of that, and we have done nothing to address it. Meanwhile, we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan looking for Osama bin Laden and the head of the Taliban. So we'll do that for 3,000 people, but 250,000 people that
even
are
back
poisoned,
off.
nothing
Can I
happened.
make a
You're
suggestion?
all correct.
Yeah.
But the point is, a news-informed person has got fentanyl at number 4, and you're just making the point
That's horrible.
that there's such importance to the election
But what's
and
above
having a
fentanyl,
working
Tom?
economy.
What's the number 1, Tom?
economy, immigration.
Election, economy, immigration, fentanyl.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, fentanyl. I mean, the
Like
border,
we need
but the border.
leadership,
Yeah.
and if there's no working economy, you don't have much of a country.
Can I-
And immigration is now.
I'm going to make
creating-
one point.
Yeah.
And because I feel like we're all pretty much agreeing on the overall concepts. We might have some disagreements on the audio visual technicalities, but what can be done out there? You're talking about being informed. You're talking about, we got to go with this. To me, it's pretty damn simple. Us men overwhelmingly are going to vote for Trump, percentage-wise.
Of course.
Women overwhelmingly
Are gonna go
are going to
Kamala.
vote for Kamala.
Yeah.
Like Rob's wife, he just said, is a Democrat he's convinced her.
And objective polling in Georgia and Arizona makes exactly your point
So
right now.
the conversations that need to happen, this is great. I love this. Us boys talking to each other, we're just, all right, Trump, all right, guys, get out there, Trump. Unless we're communicating with women, and I don't know if you've noticed this, women tend to be quite emotional. Unless we say, hey, listen, ladies,
Sit this one out.
no, what's really important to you?
Sure.
Is your family important? Is kids important? Is the border? Is inflation? Is
Adam, but
abortion?
Yeah, you can't break
really
them. You can't break they're so gone, Adam, because the messaging, the psyop is so real. It's Hitler. He wants to come in your womb. He wants to take. It's
But the point is, you don't need to convince 1 million. You need to convince 1,000 here, 1,000 in Wisconsin, 1,000 in Atlanta.
12,000 in Georgia.
Well,
Find me
the margin
11,000.
of
guess what?
victory.
Their husbands need to talk to
So
them and
that's
say,
my-
hey, well,
that's my
wife,
point.
wake the F up.
No, like,
because
Vinny,
look at this.
Vinny,
What do you mean?
No,
what do
I've
you
been
mean?
married and now I'm divorced because I spoke to my wife like that.
Well, sure,
you need to say, listen, honey, like, can we discuss really what's important to you? What do you think? What do you see the future of our country? Having conversations like that with the females in your life, whether they're your friends, whether they're your wife, whether it's your mom. Like my mom cannot stand Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And if I'm like, Mom, you're an idiot, and she's getting like, don't talk to me. I'm like, Mom, you see what's going on with inflation. You see what's going on. Why wouldn't you maybe reconsider? My mom, for the first time in her life, is thinking about voting for Donald Trump because the way I position it. So my challenge to all the guys out there, because I assume there's a lot of guys watching, is have nice, respectful, informative, educational conversations with women with empathy to say, listen, this is what I'm thinking. This is what you're thinking. Because women, whether you like it or not, they're thinking, they're taking away my rights. No, they're really not.
Yeah.
But the whole country might not be here.
Yeah.
So you might be in a globalized, socialist, Marxist country where you can get your abortions, ladies. Good luck with that.
Well,
Yeah.
ask them what future they want. I think it's very simple.
Yeah.
Ask them, average person, what kind of future do you want? Well, I want to have abortion. Okay, what else? And go right past
Exactly.
it.
And
What kind of future do you want? Because you can go to Ukraine now, and abortions are way down in Ukraine 3 years in a row. You want to know why?
Because they're not having sex as all the men are dead.
Correct. So what do you want to
Yeah.
wait for? Do you want to wait for when you lose liberty and freedom and you're overrun? And that
Exactly.
is not a crazy statement.
I think, by the way, just to solve that whole because we're down with our 1.6, we're not having any babies. You want to have an abortion? You have to at least give us one kid, and then you can have one abortion. Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead, Rob.
Good luck with that.
Yesterday, in addition to everything going on when it came to the Trump Elon X spaces, Trump also listed and released, and I sent this to Humberto. We're not going to read all of them, but he listed his 20 core promises to make America great again. So when you go, well, what are Trump's policies? If we could pull up the graphic and show, there are 20 different points that Donald Trump has made that he believes can right the course and fix America and the current conditions that we are in economically, nationally, security-wise, internationally with security. What has Kamala offered besides tax on tips and that she's going to fight inflation by
Bro,
taking
she's a
on
black female. That's it. That's
big
all she has to
industry?
do. What are you talking
Nothing.
about?
Not enough.
No, nothing. Wait,
That's it.
do we have the?
She doesn't
I,
need
I
one
don't know
point.
if they have the graphic, but there it is. Okay, yeah. I mean, but there's 20 of them
Okay,
that he lists.
So I'll go. Okay, so number one, seal the border and stop the migrant invasion. Carry out the largest deportation operation in American history. I don't know if that's going to happen. End inflation and make America affordable again.
I love that.
Make America. Sorry, Adam, your head. Okay,
Yep.
Make America go back up. Go back up. Make America the dominant energy producer in the world by far.
Drill, baby,
Drill, baby, drill. Stop outsourcing and turn the United States into manufacturing superpower. Large tax cuts for workers and no tax on tips. Kamala stole that. Defend our Constitution, our Bill of Rights, and our fundamental freedoms, including freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the right to keep and bear arms. Prevent World War
Arm
III,
bears.
restore peace in Europe and the Middle East. Okay, go to the next one. End weaponization of the government against American people. Stop the migrant crime epidemic. Demolish the foreign drug cartels. Okay, we could keep going to that, Roberto.
To the next
The
one.
next one.
11 through 20 is a separate tweet. Humberto.
Okay, it's all good.
So you
But
might
we
have
get
to-
it. We
guys
get
get
it.
the guy. You
But
guys
he's
get
got
the
a
guy.
plan.
He's at least offering a solution, and that's what I listened
Yeah,
to
but
last
he's got
night.
one problem. He's not a black woman.
Yeah, well, he gets
So
self-identified.
he's
Self-identified.
an angry orange
Adam,
man,
he gets
and
self-identify.
that's it.
He gets self-identify as whatever he wants because that's the world that we live in, and go and then win and then piss off all the women because he'll
should.
be the first black woman
He should-
president,
he
and I
should
would
say
do
that
it.
he's pregnant
I would
and
genuinely
got an
do
abortion
it. And
and-
Rob, do you have
man.
one more? Because I
Back in.
definitely want to get into what they did with Tulsa because
asking.
we're talking about
What
Kamala's
future do you want, baby? What
yeah.
future do you
And guys,
want?
because I want Rob to do this because we only have 10 minutes left. I do want to, because you guys were talking about how he's warning everybody of what Kamala's presidency would do that 4 years. I have something, but Rob, say what
The
you
final clip I'd like to play, because we've gone back and forth, Vinny. We've talked about on this podcast, The Unusual Suspects.
Yeah.
We've talked about Joe Biden's cognitive decline 7, 8, 9 months ago. It ends up coming to fruition. We talked about, it's weird that Joe Biden's dropping out. Oh, it's weird that we haven't seen him in like 7 days. Oh, it's weird that now Kamala Harris is in. Was there a coup? Well, Donald Trump addresses that yesterday, and I think that's very important. When it comes down to the 2024 election outside of abortion, what is the other argument for the Democrats? Donald Trump is a threat to democracy. But you have to ask yourself, is what is going on right now in the Democratic Party? What is going to happen at the DNC next week? Is that democracy? Because according to Donald Trump, it was a coup. And according to all reports from the White House, it was a setup to push out Joe Biden to bring in Kamala Harris. And now we have Donald Trump acknowledging that. Humberto, clip number 11, if you could play that.
Don't forget, I beat Biden. Yep. He failed in the debate miserably. And, you know, some people said, oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly, or I did well in the debate. You know, the first night they said, wow, one of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a different... Look, she hasn't done an interview since this whole scam started. And say what you want. This was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice way or we can do it the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him. You know,
what they did with this guy, and I'm no fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would never have attacked Ukraine, and we'd have no inflation. And we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it.
Well, listen.
So it's nice to hear someone actually saying the quiet part out loud. Yep. Someone from a position of authority or was in a position of authority and is trying to win back that position.
You sound like an angry patriot, Rob.
You definitely do.
You sound very angry.
Yeah, by the way, you guys, you can get that shirt at vtmerch.com. But let's be honest with each other.
Look at that face.
Like Rob, let's be honest. He actually did go. I don't think Trump saw it. He went on CBS morning something a couple days ago, and Joe Biden's like, well, they go, what happened? And Joe Biden goes, well, a couple people in the Democratic leadership, Senate and House, went up to me and said, hey, listen, you're going to hurt us. You're going to hurt the racists. So, go, I'm telling you right now, it was Barack Obama, Hillary, a bunch of people in the room, and they went like this, hey, Joe, I know, you're kind of there. I know your wife, she loves to be on Vogue and sit in your White House chair and act like she's running the show. It's over. And so if I hear one more Democrat, one more, and guys, everybody that's watching at home, you hear one more Democrat say the word democracy again to your face, tell them to shut up, okay? And explain to them, where's your democracy? No, because think about it. Did you vote for this? Did you pick Kamala? No, your Democratic Party pushed out the old guy because he lost in one debate. It took one debate to expose his ass, which is what we've been telling you guys for the past 4 years, okay? So there goes your democracy. And going back to the point, Rob, are you good? Yeah. I want to tell you guys, I know this is off topic, but it's not really off topic. You guys mentioned, and Tom, I talked to you about this before we started, this 4 years that's going to be coming up, and she's a viable threat for Kamala Harris. Tulsi Gabbard, on August 4th, a whistleblower came out. A federal air marshal service reported that Tulsi Gabbard was enrolled in the TSA's Quiet Skies program. I don't know if you guys know what that is. It's a domestic terror watch list under Mayorkas' Department of Homeland Security, okay? This happened the day after she was on Laura Ingram's show, The Angle, where she's talking about how dangerous Kamala's presidency would be. Umberto, and if you guys haven't seen this, play this clip. This is all she said, and she was put on a watch list. Go for it.
Our foreign policy decisions are being made by unelected people in the military-industrial complex who are profiting from us being in a constant state of war, and the national security state that has more power to undermine our freedoms and liberties when we are in a state of war. Kamala Harris does not have the strength to stand up to the military-industrial complex.
Oh, okay, now, so FYI, then, guys, I'm going to get angry patriot here in a second. In a letter from a whistleblower, Tom, attorney Tristan Levitt, he writes that the special mission coverage on her case reportedly involved 2 explosive detection K-9 teams following her, I'm watching her, 1 transportation security analyst in explosives, 1 plainclothes TSA supervisor, and 3 federal air marshals on every flight that Tulsi Gabbard boards. Okay, and let me explain this for people that don't know. She's an active duty lieutenant colonel for the Army National Guard, okay? In the Army, all right? She was deployed in Iraq in 2004. She was assigned to as a field medical unit in a combat zone and received the Combat Medal Badge for service under enemy fire. She was in Iraq fighting terrorists, okay, so that we could be safe here. And Mayorkas and remember the cabal that you were talking about? This cabal put her on a domestic terror watch list because she said what she said. You guys should be scared of a Kamala presidency, okay? Now think about this. For the rest of her life, Tom, for the rest of her life, she has to look over her shoulder. She has to check. Her phones are tapped for sure for the rest of her life. Do you understand how much of a disrespectful... I hope she's suing because that is, as a veteran, this drives me insane. But beyond spit in the face, beyond the Secret Service denial, besides denying RFK and then finally giving to him after Trump was shot, Mayorkas is putting her on a terror watch list for saying Kamala is horrible.
You know why she's so dangerous?
Why?
You know what's worse than Republicans criticizing Kamala?
What?
Democrats.
Of course. Well, she was a Democrat.
She was a Democrat nominee for president in the last election in 2020. It doesn't, you don't have to have an amazing memory to remember she single-handedly ended Kamala's campaign.
I remember that. It was amazing.
She was fighting sort of internally with Hillary Clinton. She was labeled a Russian asset, whatever. We've spent a lot of time with Kamala. Sorry, with Tulsi. None with Kamala.
I've interviewed her. I've interviewed Kamala a couple times.
Here on this stage, we've spent time with her. She's a very credible person. Is there a more disruptive force to the Democratic nominee in the Democratic Party than a veteran woman of color who was a Democrat, who ran for president, who is now challenging their entire ideology and beliefs? She is public enemy number one in terms of females to basically subjugate and put on this
and then
list.
to put her on a domestic terror. It's like there's KKK members that are on that list. There's Middle Easterns here that literally are radicalized, that they let them walk free. You put on active duty, bro. Dude, there's no disrespect, Tom, that I could eat. I can't even form a sentence of how pissed off, and I hope Tulsi sees this, how mad I am for her, because for the rest of her life, guys, you don't, Adam.
No, it's not going to be the rest of her life.
No, what I'm saying is, guys, once you're on their radar, even if they say we're going to drop you, they're still going to be monitoring her. They've already tapped into
It's all
her.
BS because she's not doing anything wrong. It's not like she's actually.
But put
she's
yourself.
flying.
But put yourself in her every time she goes to the airport.
I get it.
Go ahead, Tom.
But it takes it's not going to be for the rest of her life. It's going to be till someone is sitting in the Oval Office who is a bigger patriot than those that are not non-patriots, and it is to dismantle the apparatus that was there. You know, Vivek Ramaswamy said it right. He said, look, there are components that he had studied and he had spoken to experts that there were components that needed to be disassembled in this complex. Yes. And once you do, then a lot of these programs are unstaffed. But you have to have the people around you willing to support you, and there has to be a leader that's willing to take the first step, as opposed to a leader who... Joe Biden, who looks at a Post-it on his mirror and says, oh, it must be football season. I'm supposed to be hard on the punter. Yeah. And it's up, sir, I'm sorry, that says pardon Hunter.
Yeah.
Let's end it there. That
all
was
right, guys.
great.
Well, listen, guys. Rob, Adam, Tom, thank you guys so much. This was, last minute thing. I think we pulled it off. Umberto, thank you. Jake, everybody in the back. Guys, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. We need you guys. We love you guys. We do this
Vinnie, thank you for having us.
I love you guys.
Here.
We're unusual. How unusual
thank you, Umberto.
does this get?
Thank you, Tom.
And,
thank you, boys.
And just really fast, guys. Tom, we have a Vault conference coming up next month. Tom, what are the dates?
September 4th to 7th. The Vault Conference is in Palm Beach, Florida, founded by Patrick Bet-David. This is our 5th anniversary. For those of you that run a business, have founded a business, thinking about it, or are a leader in a business, looking to be around like-minded professionals coming from this point of view, Patrick will be there with 3 days of amazing curriculum and education for you. And by the way, you'll hear about leadership from people like Nick Saban, who is a college football coach, talk about how he built his team.
College football coach of all time.
And Pat is going to be on stage doing a one-on-one, kneecap to kneecap, chopping it up in an interview with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who is going to show you and talk about his walk and his life, but specifically how you can be super famous and you can have a ton of money, but he went and built a tequila company and had to go through the same thing a lot of entrepreneurs do. September 4th to 7th, the Vault Conference led by Patrick. 300-page manual to take home with you as your playbook for the next year of your business. Come see us there. The link is right up here. Humberto's got the link
we'll
up
put
there.
The link in the description
you can find it.
Yeah,
check it out. There's not much time.
There's not, guys, and Tom, the CEO and go, get out of here. They're already sold out, so you guys get your tickets. Guys, God bless you guys. Take care of each other, and we will see you on Unusuals tomorrow at 6 p.m. God bless you guys. I'll see you guys soon.